the midst of item B2. Director, I'm going to go ahead and pass the ball to you straight away.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, I had a brief discussion with the Chair, and also based on the written testimony and the verbal testimony today, I'd like to suggest that the Commission defer this item today, and that would allow Jackie and me to work on a revised bill that includes the major changes that we talked about in the PowerPoint. That would include eliminating the proposed change to B&Bs to have the 5-year ownership and construction requirement, removing the 15-year requirement for STRHs and leaving it as is with the 5 years, removing the property tax as evidence of operation from B&Bs and STRHs, working some more with Court Counsel on the trust language, taking into account some of the testimony that we saw, clarifying that ads should use TMKs, not physical addresses. I went through my notes from when we met with RAM and the MVRA. There was something else relating to neighbor notification. When there are triggers to go to the Planning Commission, that each lot gets one vote. So if there are 3 different people that all submit testimony in opposition, that's still one lot in opposition. And clarifying what the changes mean for existing permit holders and renewals. Those were the main takeaways that I got from the discussion and the testimony. If there are any other issues that you would like to see addressed in a revised bill, please let me know. And so what we would do is work on that bill and coordinate one last time with the MVRA and RAM, and then we'd be able to post that and then schedule it again at a future meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioners, is there anything other than the items that the director had mentioned that she's going to go back with and then try to come back with a bill that we can just, say be okay with, that all the stakeholders are okay with rather than us trying to wordsmith it? Is there anything else that you would like to add or you need clarification on from the director at this point, or Jackie? Okay. Director, I have one just clarification. And I think we've talked about it in this commission before, where we kind of separate B&Bs from STRHs. B&B, someone that lives here, right? Someone's part of the community. STRHs are, can be somebody that lives here, and some are, and a lot of others. So, but when we said, okay, the 5-year requirement for B&Bs and 15 for STRHs, I get that we're saying, okay, not the 15. But the whole point of this is to eliminate speculation, right? Like that's what we're trying to do. So in just trying to look at the B&B permit, my first question is, before I go any further, is, do you have to be qualified under real property tax to get your homeowner's exemption before you can apply? Because those rules changed, right? Where it's just like, in order to get your homeowner's exemption, you now have to have filed Hawaii state property tax, or Hawaii income taxes last year. So like if I moved here in 2020, I'm probably not going to file property tax income taxes until 21 or maybe 20. And then my property taxes kick in the next year after that. So in that requirement for B&Bs, is that same kind of requirement there? Or somebody can move here today and say, oh, now I live here, I'm now a resident, and I can apply for a B&B?
For the ownership requirement for B&Bs, we just look for a deed.
Okay.
So we don't go into the homeowner's exemption or anything like that. We only look at a deed to see that the owner is the applicant.
Okay. So when you go back and meet with MVRA and RAM about this, that's something for me that I think is important. Because if we're saying, hey, listen, we want to give somebody a B&B license, that means they live here. So I think that there's got to be, even if you go to chapter 2.96 has a definition of like who can qualify for, workforce housing. So like we have a couple places in the, in our own ordinances that define what a resident is or how it qualifies. I would like to see something like that proposed. I'm not saying that I have to get my way. I'm not saying that it has to be in there, but I think that beyond just okay, your name's on the deed and you're doing this. Because again, if what we're trying to do is squelch speculation, if that was what the intent of the 5-year, 15-year, whatever it is, mark is, then I think that that's something that's not unreasonable to ask. And that's just the only thing that I'll float out there for the conversation that you then have with the stakeholders moving forward.
Okay, we can look into that too.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if it's an income tax return or whatever it might be. So, but yeah, just some sort of requirement that you are, in fact, a resident, not just the deed owner. So, anything else, commissioners? Then I guess I'll entertain a motion to defer. So moved by.
So moved.
I didn't know who said that. Was that Commissioner Thompson? Who was it? Oh, Commissioner Edlau moved. Seconded by Commissioner LaCosta. Discussion on the motion.
No, I think this is.
Oh, go ahead.
I think this is a good idea because there were a lot of comments, a lot of concerns, even in my mind with the changes. The 5 and the 15-year and the trustee thing. I think we need to further discuss and come up with more clarification so everybody knows exactly where they're at. And again, I agree with everybody. This is trying times. Maybe it's time to just step back a little bit and look at it real hard before we move forward into something that may cause more problems. Okay?
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Would anybody else like to speak to the motion? Okay, Director.
Thank you, Chair. The motion is to defer so that the Planning Department can produce a revised bill based on the discussion and testimony.
Great. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Let the record show that it's unanimous, 8-0. Thank you, Director, for that. I also want to say thank you to all the testifiers, everybody that submitted written and oral testimony. It's greatly appreciated. It's always good to see the community come out and have their voices heard and try to make a better mousetrap. So thank you to everybody. Director.
Thank you, Chair. Your third public hearing item today